I'm Jay Diff with the New Old Heads podcast, and this is episode 484. This week we had a discussion on Kid Cudi firing M.I.A. from his tour. Is Nike brand still for the culture? Dame Dash disparaging Jay-Z's name and music. Killer Mike dragged for not being supportive of Kamala Harris, and more. Support us and get the 2-hour uncut episode by becoming a $5 Patreon member or YouTube member, and make sure you click the bell and turn on notifications. See you in the comments. Peace.
Check 1 2. You know what it is. Episode number 484 of the New Old Heads podcast is live. All right. Before we go any further, got to go ahead and say what's up to my people. So, what's going on, Jay Diff? What's happening?
Salutations. I am Will.
Okay, that's what's up. And right next to him, once again, we don't introduce him as a guest. He's just part of the family. Brother to the night. How are you doing?
I'm swell, good brother. How are you?
Man, kick him but not high, flap him but can't fly. You know the vibes. And then right next to me is Lonegevity.
I'm here.
Yes, sir.
How are you, Jay Moore?
Man, I'm good. You know, still, I think I told people I moved into a new place.
Yeah.
But it just takes forever. Like, I still got stuff in boxes. I still have stuff in storage. Still trying to put together a little furniture and little accoutrement of
feng shui.
Trying to make a house a home.
So Kid Cudi fired M.I.A. from his tour after she made a comment that was on stage around something along the likes of, "I've been canceled for many reasons. I never thought I would be canceled for being a brown Republican voter." And if you know, she in the past she's been, this isn't news, like from the perspective of her being a Republican or being right-wing. Question, I guess. I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything to say about this necessarily, but was this an infringement on her artistic freedom by her getting, canceled from this, or why not?
No, absolutely not. Like, you can say what you want to say, but you can't, that doesn't mean your voice and what you have to say can't infringe some sort of consequence. Now the government is not telling her that it's not canceling her.
Yep. So that's
Kid Cudi's, and
yeah, just can't ride with me.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm surprised. I'm maybe not surprised, because Kid Cudi is, he's kind of on his own. He's free. Yeah.
He's Kanye adjacent, right?
Yeah. And so, like, in a way that didn't surprise me, but you got to look at it like this. Like, M.I.A.'s new album is basically like a Christian rap album, if you will.
Is it?
Yeah. Like, she's very, and at one point, like, she was trying to put together a clothing line that stops, like, 5G waves.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's on that level. And so, the person that was, doing Paper Planes, like, that's not who this is anymore.
No, she told you exactly who she was on Paper Planes. All I want to do is boom, 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 boom.
Well, maybe that's
and take your money.
Oh, yes, that was First Amendment talk.
She also said on her rant, "I can't do illegal, though some of you could be in the audience."
That's
You're
the video.
Illegal. She's
that's
an
the
illegal.
video I seen. I think that's the reason why I ended up kicking her off. I don't think it.
She got booed.
Yeah, because I seen that particular video, and that's the night that happened to be her last night on the tour that it happened. I'm not really hip to M.I.A. and what she's been doing. I haven't paid attention to her since
Paper Planes
and Swagger Like Us, because I think they sampled her voice or something for that song.
Yeah,
Paper Planes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not hip. I don't know. I really don't care either, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's Kid Cudi's tour. If you're not aligning with him, then it's just a personal situation. It's just like, all right, hey, I'm cool on that type of energy. And I think it was actually discussed that we're not going to get into politics or make that be a part of the show to where we're, talking about things like that. So, I mean, you crossed the line, you lost your job. Simple as that.
So his statement, tour update, M.I.A. is no longer on this tour. I told my management to send a notice to her team before we started tour that I didn't want anything offensive at my shows because I already knew what time it was, and I was assured things were understood. And that seems, I'm guessing, addressing her and things that she may say. After the last couple shows, I've been flooded with messages from fans that were upset by her rants. This, to me, is very disappointing, and I won't have someone on my tour making offensive remarks that upsets my fan base. Thank you for understanding, Rager.
So now M.I.A. is M.I.A.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
Rim shot.
She responded to Cudi saying, "I wrote illegal on the Maja LP a song from 2010. I started this intro to the song with the statement saying, I'm illegal.
Yeah.
And I said, my team hasn't gotten visas yet. Then played a song that had lyrics saying, F the law, which I still believe. If the law is unjust, F it. Do not gaslight my words. That is the work of Satan. I wrote borders and illegal and paper planes before you thought immigrant rights were cool. I've had these battles myself without the help of millions of fans backing me. I don't need this virtual signal era to all of a sudden erase an entire life I've led. Jesus was an immigrant and a rebel. I have no apology for the judgmental, the wicked, and the ignorant, for those are spirits that we must overcome in our lives in this world. Jesus returns to lead the world justly because there is injustice in this world. I'm proud of those who fight for it every day. God bless you. Go listen to MI7.
You're about to lose your job.
Jesus is king. Jesus is Lord. Jesus reigns supreme. But
in the words of you, God bless.
Yeah.
It's fun. I think it's always funny when these people do some sideways shit and then try to mix Christianity in with it to try to make it like butter it up to make it sound like they on a righteous path.
Yeah.
You still a shitty person. And at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of times when people get into, and I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, to where, maybe somebody you knew in college or somebody you might have childhood friend, you ain't seen him in a long time, and then all of a sudden,
to flip the script.
They either become Muslim or Christian,
you a Muslim now.
Yeah, exactly.
No more dope game.
God bless them for finding something that makes them, feel a certain way. And it maybe points them in the right direction, but
gives them purpose.
But at the same time, like sometimes it turns them into just the worst kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like
now
now it's like you feel like you can judge people the same way that God does, and you can say things that are not even God-like. And it's okay because you think, okay, well, I'm saying this in the name of God, but like, no, you're not.
No,
like, if she said the whole thing about, Jesus being an illegal and this, that, and that's the perspective you're coming from. But like, you've taken on the same talking points as, the turning point Christians, if you will. And
nationalists.
Yeah. And those people mean no good, whatever. They do not mean you well, rather. Because yes, you are a brown person that votes Republican, but if you don't think they're coming for you next, or whoever, I think she's Sri Lankan, or but she's for some people, she is an other.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
she looks like another.
That's something that it's hard to, because just as a black man in America, I realize we don't have much of a coalition.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds like they say, oh, we can all come together, and if we could do this, is like, yeah, but those people
until they see the BBC
one at a time. So a lot of times
he's referring to news.
Yeah,
I know.
I feel like they almost give you a kit when you decide to come over here. It's like, look, we're not going to treat you as bad as we're not going to treat you like you're white, but we're not going to treat you as bad as we treat black people.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you kind of follow these rules.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I feel like they give that same kit to Africans sometimes.
Definitely.
To where like Africans come over here, and I'm not saying all, because I do have a coalition of my Nigerians, and I got love for them, my folks from Sierra Leone. But sometimes like you hear them talk about us like white folks talk about us, and it was like, where first of all, if my grandparents weren't kicking ass during the civil rights movement, you wouldn't be here at all.
Yeah. Well,
that just goes back into that kid to where like sometimes we're okay. Not being treated like you're black is good enough for these people to take the kit, if you will.
I'm gonna shoot some bail to the Africans a little bit, just because they have been socialized in the same manner that we have about them. You know what I mean? Like, look, y'all got flies flying around your eyes. Like,
yeah, but we're not trying to go over there. They came over here.
True indeed, but
and we all that's all that's bullshit.
That's all. Well, some of us do, some of us don't. You know what I mean? It really depends on, like, African booty scratcher was a thing growing up.
Okay, yeah, I could, but especially because I remember when what was it in Boys in the Hood?
Yeah,
where the kid said that.
I ain't from Africa. You from Africa? African booty scratcher.
Yeah,
Bitch, I kick your ass.
Those were fighting words.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can say from firsthand experience that nobody gets a kit.
I wouldn't say that. It's like here's a box and and some pamphlets. I'm not saying that.
It's media is a real thing, man.
I think if you're an immigrant here, I think it's really just the proximity to whiteness and from the perspective of like, and there's a different type of whiteness and white supremacy that maybe potentially exists in America. And I feel like when you become an American citizen after you've been maybe in another place where you've seen maybe if things aren't as good or what appear to be as good from the propaganda machine, you go into the United States of America thinking, well, this is the thing that I'm going to get into. Mm-hmm. It's great here. I have to defend, being here because I am happy to be here because it's better than where I came from, at least on the surface, and things from that nature. And I think that from that perspective, and also the fact that, immigrants that are black don't necessarily understand the black experience until they are, you know what I mean? In the same type of way. So it's easy for me to kind of, to see how somebody like M.I.A. who came over, I don't know when she came over here, but she is of privilege. Mm-hmm. And she, doesn't essentially associate with, this over here.
That's what happens a lot of times when you just decide, okay, I'm going to stand on this side of the right, because we see it with Nicki Minaj right now, or we did. Once again, we haven't heard from her in quite a while now. Yeah. But, you have that mentality that's like, okay, now I am right wing, so I have to downplay. One of the first things that you feel like you have to downplay is African American culture specifically, or the African American experience. Like you can say, well, I came over here from so and so, well, and I have my own thing. Well, why didn't you guys do it? You've been here all this time, but at the same time, you don't want to do the work that talks about the history of why systematically those things have not happened.
And I think also one perspective that I do have too, is that there is also, especially right now, there is and maybe this isn't in regards to M.I.A.'s case, but there is definitely a fear of, I have to make sure that I do all the right things. Otherwise, who knows where I'll end up because of ICE and because of all the, all the things of that nature. So like, it's like, again, the propaganda machine is extremely, extremely good. And if you are an immigrant that is speaking out, maybe in alignment to what a lot of Black Americans specifically would speak out about, but also have the privilege in the sense of being able to be natural born citizens to where they can't get deported. You can't get deported in that particular type of way. There is another interesting dichotomy there, I think, that potentially can exist. I'm not saying that it's necessarily right or anything, but I think that does exist, a different type of fear and understanding of like, I can't go to those extremes. So,
I think is especially now, because I think there are a lot of people who thought they were safe because, like a lot of the Hispanics for Trump.
Sure.
And
absolutely.
And those people
will vote.
Yeah, the Viva
Donald Trump.
And they're out.
Well, that's racist.
That's a real song.
Not on Cinco de Mayo. No,
which is an American holiday.
Exactly.
It's literally a real song that they made up.
Yeah, and
I know
those folks are getting sent back just as quickly, and they're like, "Well, we didn't mean me," and I was like, "Well, they meant you, and you were used," and like you're seeing that kind of across the board with. Look, they sending people back to Italy. They don't care if you over here and your paperwork is not in order. You got to go.
There's a question on the immigration form. Do you identify with the Communist Party?
Still,
no. That was a question.
That's wild.
That's the question. Yeah, Bram had to fill out. I was like, no. But at the same time, it's Trump is trying to initiate legislation that even if you are aligned with any socialist movements, that it's potentially granted rights and rounds to potentially target you in a particular type of way as being a part of a group anti-American.
My summation of all of this is, if you allow yourself to be sold the lie of black and white or whatever instead of rich or poor,
Sure.
then you're always going to fall into the category that she's in. You know what I mean? Because ultimately that is really the fight that you fighting.
Yep.
It's classism over racism.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's rich or poor. And until you've been on the poor side, you always going to probably see it the other way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's really, that's really the fight that anybody's fighting, man, is rich or poor.
Yeah. And there are nuances involved in the intersectionality between class and race, but yeah, I generally agree with that as well.
Well, you know, when it's out there that you could literally buy your citizenship for $5 million,
Mhm.
Yeah.
then it's definitely about rich and poor.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know.
Apparently Nicki Minaj is the only one that's done it.
Oh yeah, she got her Trump card.
They got the Trump card.
She got a
You got the visa.
complimentary card, but they told her that it had no value in it, and that's not what it was for.
Mm.
So yeah, no,
Unfortunate.
people just. I mean, it's a sad tale that keeps happening on and on again. I mean, you need to find your people. You probably shouldn't have been on tour with Kid Cudi if, you know what I'm saying, you felt that certain type of way and you were already prepped for this to know that you weren't supposed to do certain things. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So do you
Kid
think?
Rock has a whole tour that everybody backed out of, so there's slots on there for you.
Yep. Go over there. Do you think? Do you guys? Well, I guess this is another question. Do you agree with Cudi's decision, or was it a necessary act of brand protection?
Yes.
Yeah,
and empathy?
I mean, like I stated, he pretty much said what could and couldn't be done on the tour.
Yeah.
You cross the line on numerous dates, so I mean, it is his tour. You got fired.
Back to being Mr. Solo Dolo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Should professional contracts include values clauses that allow for immediate termination over political speech like this?
No. I mean,
Because that's essentially what Cudi had, right?
yeah. But I say no. But in this instance, if we had a conversation prior to you bringing to the bill, you know I'm not for that shit.
Right.
And you brought that shit on here. So,
And now it's just not the time. The tides are turning.
yeah.
Even if it just has less to do with actual people's political standings as it does the gas prices. People are just like, no, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's not the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is Nike brand still for the culture? So Nike is currently facing its most significant cultural and financial identity crisis in decades, leading many to wonder if its grip on quote-unquote the streets has finally slipped.
I'd be interested to hear your take on Nike, a brand that has been. I'm excited about their new CEO, who I know well, who I think is incredible. I think the culture around the business has changed drastically, and the stock price came out again, and it's down.
I've watched your journey. I've gotten a chance to have a penthouse view of your journey with Nike, and I know how much you love that company. They're in deep shit because it was fine when it was Adidas, Reebok, and Nike. And they could beat up on Reebok and Adidas and Reebok would lose their way, and Nike would just get the best athletes. Go f*** yourself. We got everybody. Go f*** yourself. They've allowed all these other brands to form and gain confidence.
He was talking about Nike, and the host of this show is a former executive at Nike. And Nike's had some bad press recently. But here's Business Insider. It says Nike's plan to just fix it. Sportswear giant got lapped by competitors like New Balance, On, and Hoka. Now it's racing to catch up. Almost embarrassing that Nike would be getting hit this hard by companies that have an R&D budget that's a fraction of the size of Nike.
Is there really a culture for anything anymore? Or is it a tagline just to be able to sell things to minorities that are fans of music, sports, and fashion line?
That's that last part. That last question is fire. Nike is in trouble because of really basketball. Because basketball is not what it once was. The athlete is what was pushing why shoes were selling at one point in time. And that's not really the thing anymore. You know, even Nike is gone, and Nike's gotten some of the best influencers, such as Kai Cenat, et cetera, and those shoes, they may sell out, but they really don't do anything when it comes to like the culture of sneaker culture. The truth of the matter is, when you speak about New Balance, gives probably the best quality shoe when it comes to like materials, et cetera,
Comfort.
Yeah. When it comes to like collaborations, you're gonna get the best shoe probably for its quality from New Balance. Nike will give you all the hype, you know what I mean, like Jordan, etc. Just because Nike is Nike. But hell, even Adidas, shit, you got people like Salehi and Crocs that are doing numbers. You know what I mean? Like, it's just they allow all these other people to come in because they thought they were bigger. They've been giants for so long that they didn't really care about these small companies that was coming in. And now it's like these small companies are becoming giants on their own.
I think it all comes down to what people are into. I don't think this necessarily pertains to culture in a sense of like is he saying that it's targeting black culture, or like, because that's where I'm kind of confused with. Nike in itself is not where it is because people are into other things, and Nike keeps refurbishing and doing the same shoes that they've already done and just putting a different color, a different tag, collaborating with somebody, doing this, that, and the other. That's the reason why Nike,
nothing fresh over there.
It's not fresh as far as like the footwear is concerned. People have moved on to other things because people aren't just so tunnel brained and just looking for Nike to give me what I want to put on. People have advanced past that. I don't think it means anything to the culture, good or bad. It's just what happens with these companies. Man, they've run out of ideas. They don't have anybody on the design team that's giving them something that everybody wants.
That's not true though, you know, because you got people like Joe Fresh Goods, Salehi, what's my guy? Jay Tips.
I'm gonna tell you when it started though,
like,
because you talk. Those are good. Those are good people that you're talking about in good collaborations, but those collaborations are very limited, and you have to be, you know what I'm saying, in the in crowd and things like that, or know when they're gonna drop and think. You know, Nike up when they had an executive that was backdooring shoes to her son to sell online, which was then driving the price of the shoes up in the resale. That's where Nike up right there. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of the beginning of the end of what we call the shoe culture and the resale culture, because like resale is not what it used to be at all. People are letting shoes sit. Brand, like you said, New Balance, things of that nature, you're going to be able to get those. You're going to pay for them, but you're also paying for the comfort too. Now, where Nike wins is in apparel and things of that nature and licensing. They're always going to be a big brand ambassador as far as that's concerned. But like culturally, if we're talking about people wanting to go out and buy Nikes based off of what the culture is telling them to do, I mean, the culture has pretty much just said that if it's fly, we rocking with it. We don't care if it's Nike. We don't care if it's Adidas. We don't care if you told me to buy the shoes. If I don't like the shoes, I'm not going to get them. I think that's part of the problem right there.
Well, you know, and this is somewhat negative as far as my perspective on it, but it was a positive for Nike. Is I remember the era to where like you didn't want to be seen in anything other than maybe Nike or Reeboks. Okay, you would. It was the whole like, and this is past my era, you know. But when people were like, you know, what are those? Like that comes from people being clowned if they wore what you consider to be like cheap shoes,
buddies.
But you know, Skips or Buddies, yeah, like
Spalding.
You know, but I just remember, you know, there was a time where like, you know, people who weren't even of means might clown you if you didn't have nice shoes. You know, it was not a positive thing. And one of the things that's most disturbing that came from that era is, you know, people was out here getting beat up and jumped and sometimes shot and killed over shoes. And like, it's sad, but that kind of drove the prestige
over Jordans.
Yeah, specifically.
You know,
but so there was a prestige that came from having these shoes that people were dying over.
It wasn't even shoes though. When I was growing up, it was
starter jackets.
It was anything. It was like anything that is deemed as like popular or cool.
But at the same time, it's like, and I'm glad this isn't a thing. But when's the last time you heard somebody, getting shot over a pair of shoes or some sort of athletic jacket?
Depends on what shoe is coming out on a release date.
I mean, there's still foolishness that surrounds it,
but not shot.
And I really think, just from what I see, I'm saying, like when I see, kids, it's like, they still want to have the fly shit, but it may not be like at one point Nike was the height of fly shit. As if you had Jordans, you might wear them with your tuxedo to prom. Now these kids want Balenciaga and Louis Vuitton, and it's like, Nike, that's what we wear after school when we might go hoop, but that's not fashion. That's not the culture that it was, and even, now, like I said, I've never been a sneakerhead, but when I saw you had like, what was the Bo Jacksons? When I saw those, I was like, that took me back, and I still was like, I would still like to have a pair of those, but there's not that same thing to where if you may be 29, 30 years old, like you don't have that same romantic thing about a pair of LeBrons. Nothing against LeBron, but like it's really a different mentality and a different impact that the culture had. And so now you're trying to keep reselling a certain level of nostalgia. And it's like, for some people, it's like, we don't remember that. And that wasn't a big deal for us. We didn't have to have that. And it didn't make us feel any better because we were, I know a lot of people that buy Jordans because they're buying the Jordans they couldn't afford when they were teenagers, and they're not recreating that feeling for this next generation.
Nike can't rely on people that couldn't get their shoes back in the day to buy them now because younger cats ain't that into retros like that. Like we have a certain attachment to some of these shoes that come out, but I mean they'll still sit. It's just a matter of Nike not reading the room and not being aware of what consumers actually want. Again, so people aren't just going for tennis shoes, like you said, they're going for design stuff now,
lifestyle.
Too, so.
And I think one of the things that I think everyone is kind of had a come to Jesus moment, for lack of a better term, come to Jesus moment, if you will, because you saw someone like Kanye West move the needle in such a big way who was not an athlete. So he has the hottest shoe in the world. Okay, and you're trying to tell me that this guy who scores 19 points a game, he's supposed to have the hottest shoe in the world?
It's not a thing no more.
That's not what moves the needle for young people anymore. So I think that's where the difference is. Because at one point you wanted to wear Jordans because he was the best. Jordan, that was the gold standard. And then you wanted to have, and say you just didn't, you rocked with Jordan. Say you didn't like Jordan. You wanted to have the Charles Barkleys.
Well, the shoes were nice.
You wanted the pennies.
Yeah, you wanted the pennies. You wanted whatever. You wanted what was next.
Penny was that guy.
And if you have, what is the next evolution of? Okay, Yeezy was the hottest thing, and then between just controversy and just how the culture moves, it's not the hottest thing anymore.
Right.
Where do you go from there? You don't go back to like, okay, let's give this power forward, who made the All-Star team 2 years in a row. Let's give him $100 million to put his face on a shoe.
They're still doing that, and I think there's probably still a market for it.
But that's why it's not working.
To some degree, like there's still going to be people that are going to buy specific basketball shoes for things of that nature. But another question here is like Nike. So it says Nike stock has seen a 50% decline since 2021. With revenue dropping 10% in fiscal 2025, and based upon this, it seems like you guys are saying no. But how much impact does hip hop have in this downfall? Is it?
Well, they're wearing designer as well now too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously people still rock Jordans, but I mean the price in Jordans have gone up so much. I remember when I was first buying Jordans, they were like 115, 125 or something like that, and some change with tax.
225, 250.
Exactly. So it's like,
damn, really?
But yeah, it's like you're not adapting. Well, you are adapting to the climate as far as the inflation is concerned, but you're not keeping in mind the people that can't afford these shoes and couldn't afford them back then. They really can't afford them now. Again, they're relying on people to buy the nostalgia, but it's just not fitting people's lifestyles anymore.
It just kind of seems very much, and I always take it there, but it's just kind of like, we see it with movies, and it seems, with capitalism, realistically.
There it goes.
In the way of like, it's not, capitalism doesn't help innovation. It's looking for the quick way to get as much money as possible and extract as much whatever out of it. And when you don't have the basis around the integrity of the art or the thing that it is, and it's just about financials, and everybody's focusing on that, then it's going to eat itself.
Yeah, and then you're selling people the same shoe with far less quality materials.
Yeah,
and you're charging them more money for it.
The bottom's going to fall out.
Yeah,
just what it is.
Out of the market and sometimes out of the shoe.
Yeah.
I just think that I think that's one thing that people are not paying attention to. People don't have the money that they had even a year ago. All right. I'm in the business I'm in, I'm really getting worried because it's like, okay, if gas hits $5 a gallon,
which it has.
Yeah. Depending. Well, okay. Yeah. And if you drive a car like I drive a car, it's knocking on 7.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, exactly. You have to make real decisions about what you're going to do, where you're going to go, and where you're going to spend your money. Budgets are being adjusted in a major way. And this is on top of, food prices being through the roof. I don't know how everyone's not trying to extreme coupon at this point, seeing how things are and getting the 2 for whatevers. And so you add all those things together, and it's like, do I really need this $225 pair of tennis shoes just to sit around the house?
Yeah, no, because I got
you ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah, I got a few in my closet now that I've never worn, and I've had them for years. You know what I'm saying? Again, and it's me buying nostalgia because I couldn't get it at a certain time when I really wanted it. So it's like I'm buying it now to compensate for that. But Nike's not putting up the effort that they used to back in the day too. Like they had whole campaigns that were running. They had Marshall Falk running down the street, running from helicopters and police cars and shit like that. They made you want the shoe. But like fast forward to now, and this ain't just Nike, this is just everybody in general. People are lazy when it comes to actually promoting their goods. It's like they just expect you to want it because, hey, this is Nike, you're going to want it anyway. You can't do the same thing that a Benz or a BMW do because that's something that they don't have to advertise because it's a status symbol. You know what I'm saying? These other brands have gotten away from what they used to do, and people they're not loyal to brands anymore. Essentially, we just seen Steph Curry do a whole season wearing different shoes every game because he's done with his partnership with Under Armour. So he's a free agent. A lot of these folks, they want to walk around and wear what they want to wear because they're not tied to the brand and can only wear that brand. So they'll take, a kickback. Hey, wear my shoes for this. We'll kick you this. You know what I'm saying? It's free game right now. But
yeah.
I mean,
it's the attention economy.
Yeah,
and it translates into everything.
And Jackson,
translate even into what we do.
Yeah. And Jackson, I don't know. Like I said, I'll ask. I'll ask the young person in the room. Like, do you really care what kind of tennis shoes that you have?
No, I used to whenever I was into basketball, but not anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, you don't have to have the $150, $200 pair of shoes, like whatever you just like or was available at the time. That's what you're going. And nobody's like, oh, look at you with these bum ass shoes. Like that's never a conversation.
But I will ask along with that though, like, are you checking for the New Balance Cooper flag shoes or the New Balance Kawhi Leonards?
No,
they're not good silhouettes.
Yeah, they're not good. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the 9060 is a very nice shoe. It's very comfortable as well. Those are, what is it? I like Action Bronson shoes. I like Joe Freshgoods models. I like Salehi Benberry's.
I think it also just
I don't even know what you're talking about.
it also kind of depends on the
I
person
got
too.
some-
You know, like I've never cared about shoes from a fashion perspective. I mean, a little bit, not really, but like, so this isn't really my conversation in general, but like, I really don't care now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I've slowed way down, man.
So-
Like I said.
like I used to pay attention a little bit, but like, I don't care at all.
But would you buy some Hokas?
I don't even know what that is.
What about
Very
get them.
comfortable shoes.
Them
They look,
Brooks.
they look really comfortable.
Yeah.
If they look like not ridiculous and I could wear them with clothes that I wear and they're comfortable, yeah, probably.
Comfort is really, at the age that we are at,
Yeah, absolutely.
comfort, it reigns supreme.
Yeah. You are now listening or watching the New Old Heads podcast. Our official 1-hour episode is released every Saturday at noon Eastern, where we share our exclusive uncut 2-hour episode to our YouTube members and Patreon members early every Wednesday. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie City and Vinyl, Decademics, and Bringing Down the Band. And most importantly, you. You can support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads, where we embrace the new, respect the old, and remain ahead. So Dame Dash has reignited his long-standing feud with Jay-Z by downplaying the commercial legacy of Reasonable Doubt, sparking a heated debate over whether sales or sold define a classic hip-hop or hip-hop classic.
Reasonable Doubt doesn't sell shit. Why you think I gave it away? Nobody made no money off that shit. Barely went gold. Nobody gives a fuck about Reasonable Doubt other than people that were there. Ask some kid about Reasonable Doubt. They'll be like, nobody cares about Jay-Z as a rapper. No kid gives a fuck about Jay-Z at all. They not jacking his hairstyle, his gear. No one's fucking with Jay-Z. No one's listening to them fucking raps. None of that shit. That's all. You know that. When's the last time this nigga made a record? Like, he's an old man. Why the fuck should he be making records? But ain't nobody jacking AZ. He's not. No one. Since I'm gonna tell you what killed Jay-Z, them fucking dress shirts. That put him out of business. He wasn't fly after that. No one, he couldn't recover for them dress shirts. Show me a picture of me and a Yankee in a dress shirt with cufflinks, please. Let me know. Or some Van Dutch and all that. Like, show me any picture of me in any of that clown shit. I'm the coolest. I'll be like, yo, these niggas, think about how I'm looking. Like, what the fuck is you doing? Like, my homeboys used to like, still got these fucking motorcycle boots on. My homeboys used to give me hell for this nigga, man. They thought he was the funniest. You know, he didn't have the kind of, you know, he's not that, no dishes. I don't want to start this, but
So, can an executive who helped build the most successful brand in hip-hop history truly serve as an objective spokesperson for the culture while simultaneously harboring decades-old personal grievance?
No. Because he made it seem like he gave Reasonable Doubt away. He's like, I didn't want that shit. It was corny. Nobody cares about it.
Saving face.
You, at one point, and this is the thing, because I've tried to really, put on for Dame here on past episodes when we've talked about him. But at the same time, like, dude, I remember you was trying to give people a Roc-A-Fella chain if they would just buy, your portion of it. And now you're like, I just gave it away. I didn't care nothing about it. No, it was taken from you because you had specific debts that you could not satisfy, and I do remember that era where literally Jay-Z said, okay, we're not doing throwback jerseys anymore. We're putting on, we taking this somewhere else. And I remember that because I wasn't running a club then, but I had a little influence at the spot in St. Louis. And I just remember we had a thing that was like, okay, if they want to wear jerseys still, if you got $300 for a throwback jersey, then you got $40 to get into the club. And so like the people who had on, like might have had on a button up with the cufflinks and, still the little, whatever shoes it was popping, this little Steve Madden's. Yeah. $10. But if you was trying to come in with the Lou Alcindor throwback, $40. And I just know that there was a time where, like, yes, Jay-Z told people to take off them throwbacks and you took them off. So you can't say there was an influence there. And you might have thought that was corny. I thought Von Dutch was corny. I'm glad, I didn't understand the appeal of that shit, but that was me.
Listen,
you can't act like these weren't eras in hip hop where Jay-Z had influence, and for you to act like, oh, nobody cares about Reasonable Doubt because you don't own a piece of it anymore. It's like when you are basically living your life as a hater. Yeah, and that's what Dame Dash is doing right now. Yeah. You can't be happy for anybody.
Nah, he's not happy for anybody that is successful, and he had a part in that success. And unfortunately, his success has gone wayward. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's sitting there having a conversation about kids listening to Jay-Z and Jay-Z's influence right now as we speak. Nobody's getting their hair like Jay-Z. Nobody's dressing like Jay-Z. I mean, he's 50 some odd years old. We're past the time where his influence was heavy in the streets, man. Like, I really don't understand why he's so bitter and wants to downplay all of this shit. Like, now Reasonable Doubt sucks. Nobody's listening to that now. People were listening to it then when it mattered. And the same people go back and listen to the same shit. It's like, this is just a tired conversation from a disgruntled, you know what I'm saying, baby mommy, essentially. It's like you're acting like somebody that's just scorned. So you're just gonna shit on a dude that was successful from you all success, and you're just not no more. So I mean, that's just where it is.
When you lose your teeth, you become angry.
Yeah. We lost a lot of money too. So,
and this is hard to see because, like I said, you can't act like Dame did not do some incredible things, but like right now, everything is copping please. Everything is like, oh, Reasonable Doubt wasn't that great. Nobody dresses like Jay-Z. No, what are we even talking about?
Maybe we can have the conversation about how much of a contradiction it is that Dame Dash for these comments, considering how much he hates people who take from the culture.
Culture vulture. Is he a culture vulture now?
I mean, I don't know. Probably not. But
no, I wouldn't. No,
he's trying to eat, man. All he's doing is lining up interviews so that he can eat, and he wants to say something provocative that's going to generate the numbers and have people clicking on it and conversating about it like we're doing.
But
because it's so absurd.
Doesn't that kind of lead into
cultural vulturism?
That's what I mean.
Absolutely. Like, it's like you're exploiting the time that would be deemed as successful, and you're downplaying it for your own personal gain.
That's kind of the definition.
Yeah, you're not reaping the benefits from that anymore. So now you're pretty much demonizing it and making it seem like this ain't it, and this, you know what I'm saying? And and essentially hating. He was one of the biggest persons or people talking about people hating and how that's whack, hating on people, you know, and he's hating on the guy that made him successful or vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say, they did it for each other.
Yeah, they did it for each other, but one of them is still successful and one of them's light is dimming very much. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it makes no sense. I even seen him having a conversation talking about Jay's show and how Jay's performances are so boring. That's why I was doing the Dame Dash dance. They came to see me do the dance. I was the rock star. It's like he has this delusion of what actually happened. Like, people seen what happened in real time. So why are you trying to twist the narrative just for clicks and likes? It would kind of be deemed as a culture vulture. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
No, I mean, he's entitled to his POV.
No, he's entitled to. He switched it though.
True. Because he wasn't saying that prior to. He was calling Jay the rock star. I'm not going to lie about Jay's performance being boring.
No, concerts are fire, though.
Jay-Z's come a long way. At one point, he was not great on stage.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I still don't think he's the greatest.
No.
But
it's entertaining.
Like, he knows how to put together a show now.
Yeah, it's entertaining because it's Jay-Z. If it wasn't Jay-Z going and giving you that same thing, you feel something. Nah, it's everything surrounding Jay-Z and him rapping or whatever that makes the show great. But just to spend all that money just to go see somebody stand in one place and rap.
Yeah. I don't know. To Terry's point about the culture vulture stuff, I mean, this does, like, it almost feels like he understands that this is how he can continue to
be relevant
in the culture, if you will, is by talking about that from a particular angle. And it sucks that it's always a negative thing, you know, that always comes from this. Like, there's not a lot of positive to talk about when it comes to Dame Dash.
Yeah, he ain't just hating on Jay. He hate on Cam.
Yeah.
He hates on anybody.
He hates on everybody that was in his vicinity.
Yeah.
That are still successful.
That's the part. Because he don't hate on Beans.
Because every misery loves company. So if I see the cats that I was riding with and rocking with no pun intended, still doing good and still making moves and still remaining relevant
without me,
then he has ill will towards them people. That's why he has something negative to say about them all the time, man. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation that Dame Dash evolved into this guy that is a super hater. You know what I'm saying? He's a super hater right now.
It's like, damn, Dame, you know, talk about Kitty Red or whatever you got coming up. I don't even know if that's an association anymore. I just remember. But, I mean, that's the thing. That's how much of somebody I believe in Dame Dash. Like, I was playing that record.
What if he was always a hater?
Maybe we didn't see it because of his
he
success.
was winning.
Yeah.
We didn't see it because he was winning. He was winning at the time, but he's probably always been the hater.
Probably has been.
I mean,
and you know what? If he feels he's been done wrong, I can understand some where some of this animosity comes from. If he feels like people who
I'm sure he helped
turn their back on him, and he was cut out of deals, and you know, then I get that. But at the same time, it's like, all right, man, you know, for you to say nobody gives a F about reasonable doubt, and that's why I just threw it away in the middle of the street. Whoever picked it up,
that's just saving face.
That's
lost it.
Like, come on, man. Like I said, you was trying to. If somebody, this is what the starting bid was like, $10 million. If they could have gave you $10 million, you was going to give them a Roc-A-Fella chain. It was.
The Cam and Mace tried to buy it. They tried to buy his share. He didn't want to sell it to him.
You know, so. You know, like I said, it's a fall from grace that I don't like seeing. I know some people have reveled and celebrated in this. I don't care for this, and I hate that. Dame is in a place where it does. Like when Charlamagne and the Breakfast Club, they got that big deal. He had to like say, well, you know, they only give you that because this, that, and the third, and
you grow.
And it's like, dude, you can't even be happy that these folks got a $200 million deal.
He tried to spend it on
happy for anybody. Because to you,
and he didn't have it.
To you, anytime somebody hits a level of success, you know, within the culture that maybe you've had some sort of issue with, then it's like, okay, well, then that's an affront to me and who I am as a man.
Well,
and that's hard to sit. That's hard to watch.
In his defense, man, like he feels like they were shitting on him they shitted on him to get that 200. Because I think that was announced shortly after. You know, his interview up there, his second interview up there, where, you know, he was pretty much getting shit on the whole time, and they disproved everything that he was saying there. And
it didn't help it when he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to own Revolt," and Revolt is like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
you know, like, like I said, this is not. I hate seeing this.
Sometimes you need to know when to shut the up, respectfully.
And to give him even a little bit more bail, and then we can move on. I mean, he is kind of right. Nobody really does care about Reasonable Doubt right now, but nobody's supposed to care about Reasonable Doubt. It's like a 30-plus-year-old album.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you know, nobody is supposed to care about Jay-Z. So I think just that animosity is just seeping through the comments, like just the way that he's like framing it. Like he can be right from the perspective of what he's saying, but still be framing it from like a negative. Like the way he's framing it is not necessary.
I think Jay would beg to differ though, because I mean he has the tickets on sale for that show sold out in 5 minutes
for old people.
I mean, but still,
I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying as far as
I'm saying, you know,
and I agree totally. That's what I was saying earlier. As far as back when it was supposed to matter, it mattered. I don't expect the Jacksons of the world to want to go listen to the Reasonable Doubt. Like that's what they put in.
I do. I think Jay-Z is
of them.
No, I think Jay-Z right now is he is the Metallica, the Aerosmith for hip hop. You know what I mean? Like it was our generation. Like the Aerosmith and all that shit wasn't really a thing for us.
Ain't nobody dressing like them motherfuckers. They'll just listen to the music and keep it moving.
But people
no, they dress like them.
They go
I'm
see.
saying right now.
Oh.
Yeah, people was going to see like it when we were teenagers and 20 years old. Yeah. People our age was going to see Kiss and Fish,
or Rolling Stones.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just that's what Jay-Z is for hip hop. So, and this is the first time we're actually seeing that. So, yes, people give a damn about Jay-Z. it's just the natural evolution of hip hop. And hip hop is 50. This is the first time we've seen hip hop age gracefully, to go on to what Jay was talking about in that interview with the New York Times. This is the first time we actually seen that. So I commend the brother for being able to do it, and do it in the fashion that he is.
Killer Mike has been dragged based upon a video. It actually kind of came out of the blue a little bit. So Killer Mike posted a video recently based upon the Voting Rights Act and the stuff that's been going on in Louisiana. He posted a video essentially saying, hey, we need to get out there and vote, and we need to flip the stuff, and, you know, we need to do the things that we need to do. And he has essentially been dragged. But a lot of it is the stuff that I've been seeing is people pulling up, you know, the fact that saying that, you know, he was anti-Kamala Harris, and he helped get Trump elected, things of that nature. You know, Governor Kemp, you know, apparently not supporting Stacey Abrams, which he did, and things of that nature. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys have any particular questions or thoughts about any of this, or if you've seen kind of this pop off. But do you guys have you seen this dialogue?
I've seen it. I've paid a good amount of attention to it, you know, because there have been things that, while I'm a huge fan of his music, I have disagreements with some of the things that Killer Mike has stood on. You know, I understand he was all about Bernie Sanders, and that was, you know, and the thing is, I was right with him.
Sure.
You know, but once Bernie wasn't the nominee, you had to understand, it's like, okay, just because, you know, my guy didn't make it, I'm certainly not going to either stand down or not support the person that has more things in common with my platform and with my beliefs than the person who is diametrically opposed to not only what I believe, but I think democracy in general. And that's been Donald Trump the last 3 election cycles.
Sure.
It's so hard because there's always the whole thing. Oh, black people are not a monolith, you know, when it comes to voting. But at the same time, like, when part of that monolith is being opposed to white supremacy, you know,
Fair.
it's kind of hard for you to say that, you know, we don't all feel the same way, because pretty much, at least the black people I'm around and choose to be around, we all are opposed to white supremacy. Now, mind you, I've watched some people just tap dance for a better position for it, and maybe be, you know, they don't have to feel so much the heat of white supremacy. And I think that's been shocking and sad to see. I don't think I would put Killer Mike into that category.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in a very strange time to where, you know, a lot of times with Democrats and people on the left, progressives, as you will, and I can't even always put Democrats and progressives in the same boat.
I don't put them in the same boat.
Exactly. It's like sometimes if you can't, you ever just known somebody who, if they can't get everything they want, they wind up not wanting anything.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of what happens with the left. And on the right, they will accept somebody who is so incredibly flawed, who can just give them 5 of the 10 things that they want. Because that's really what Donald Trump is. Because, like, here it is, people who are quote unquote evangelical Christians and people of faith were able to hold their nose at this man who, you know, basically paid a stripper with a check so they could get the things that they wanted.
Right.
And not all of them, but the things, but they prioritized having things on a list. And one of the things I think a lot of people wanted to prioritize, even if they couldn't get everything they wanted, was maintaining democracy and the Supreme Court. And
they got all of that.
No, that's what the right got. That's what I'm saying. What they held their nose so they could get the Supreme Court. And Democrats, people on the left, they couldn't do the same thing.
Yeah, it's weak. It's very weak. But, like, I think this situation with Killer Mike, 2 things can be true at the same time. A lot of people, especially like down south, that look at a particular figure as far as being famous or whatnot and having influence and having a mouthpiece that can speak on what was going on in the community. Killer Mike is one of those individuals. I feel like he kind of used his influence by not saying to, you know what I'm saying, get behind this candidate or whatnot. I don't think he meant it maliciously, but unfortunately it acted as something that happened maliciously, because we're not named necessarily maliciously, but it's something that happened because there's people looking at him that really aren't into politics, and they hear him not say what they want to hear, and it's just like, okay, well, if Killer Mike's not doing it, then I'm not doing it either.
Right.
It was one of those situations to where, again, the influence, and he didn't use his power to make people think differently. It was all about thinking differently by just saying that just because they black, I'm not going to vote for him. That's kind of where it led from. But
yeah.
In the same token, the Democratic Party is 100% more, you know what I'm saying, the reason why a lot of people didn't do it. Like we can point the blame at Killer Mike, and I agree he did do some things that he shouldn't have did, but as a whole, the Democratic Party should be the one to blame.
I agree. You have anything?
Nope.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up good points about him having the type of influence in the people that maybe don't pay as much attention into politics, and the type of influence that he has could potentially persuade, people in that particular type of way. But I've seen other commentary around things such as, this is misogynoir. He just didn't want a black woman to be, president, things of that nature. Even around the comment where he said, well, you're going to have to earn my vote. I'm not just going to, I'm not just voting for somebody because they're black.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. I mean, Jay, I know you have something to say, but I'm curious if you guys think that, like, how much onus should somebody like Killer Mike have when he has been campaigning for a specific category, a type of politics in general, and then that necessarily does not win, because to your point, progressivism and the Democratic Party are not
completely aligned.
They don't align. And realistically, I would say they don't align at all, because where they're rooted from. And so, like, I 100% understand why leftists and socialists do not align with Democrats when it gets past the primaries. What I will say is almost all leftists that I know still vote for Democrats. But the problem is that you can't really get people excited. You're not going to get the leftists excited to go out and to campaign for some shit that they feel is still diametrically opposed to their worldview. And the Democrats don't cater to leftists at all. And so I think that's another piece that's kind of wedged in here that we kind of have to pay attention to. Like,
there are people in the margins.
It's like, the people are expecting Killer Mike to balance that in a way. The ethics of his moral character around what he wants to see happen, and also, like, hold his nose and say these other things to support maybe somebody that he doesn't support.
Some of those people, since he didn't announce his alliance with Kamala Harris, may not have voted at all. Sure. Which essentially is a vote for Donald Trump or the Republican Party at the end of the day. But again, you can't put this 100% on Killer Mike. And he said some things that I don't agree with. But like some of the stuff I'm reading about him, how people feel, they are reading this dude his rights.
Man,
like,
it's crazy.
I seen a post, shout out to Jess. He actually shared a post on Facebook where somebody was going in on Killer Mike about all of these different things. And it's like, right now, you're making it urgent that we need to get out and do something. But we should have been urgent before this last election. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's almost like people just didn't think this was going to happen again, and it happened again. Well, I think everybody knew it was going to happen again because of how it was set up.
And I think you could very easily counter that and say, well, Killer Mike has been very urgent in his messaging to support candidates that were not going to continue this status quo.
Right.
Right. But it just depends on where in the line, He was urgent for a very long time.
Yeah, he was urgent.
No, he was very urgent.
But when it was time
about Bernie Sanders,
he was.
Yeah.
I mean, and I wanted Bernie. I was actually campaigning and not even on the campaign to, like, the older members in my family.
Sure.
Trying to. This is back in the Hillary days. Like,
yeah, same.
No, y'all need to vote for Bernie Sanders because this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? But they are familiar with Hillary Clinton, so they voted for Hillary Clinton. We all knew that wasn't gonna work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I understand riding for who you wanted to win, but in the same token, like the right does, once whoever they thought or wanted to win, okay, that person didn't win. We got to get behind this person regardless and move forward.
Yeah, outside of the primaries, advocated for it, but then that's over with. Go ahead, Jay.
No, I and I also advise that people do, some more reading.
Yeah.
Shout out to there's commentators. Her name is Goldie Taylor. She's a veteran and a graduate of Emory. Somebody I followed for a while. I discovered her. I don't want to say I discovered her, but I found out about her. She used to go on Bill Maher, and she has a great kind of write up.
I didn't like it.
What does she look like?
She's an older woman.
Okay.
It is Dear Killer Mike, S the F up.
That's the one I read.
I read that today.
Yeah. And so I mean, like, I'm not completely endorsing everything she said, but it's worth checking out.
I actually, to be honest, if you have read this is actually kind of, I think she makes a lot of points in this that are great, but I think I'm not black. So from that perspective of like when a black person is speaking to other black people, I'll remove myself from
also,
that.
I read the article, but like, I don't think telling Killer Mike to shut the F up. That's the only part I don't, that's not constructive at all.
It's not, but he'll tell her to shut the up.
Well,
not because she's a woman, but like, he's very passionate when it comes to like the political, state of things. So.
So I don't think her starting with Dear Killer Mike, shut the F up is constructive. But
I don't even care about that part.
I did, like I said, just do your own reading, just find some other things but I do think that just because, okay, yes, maybe you disagree with some of the things that Killer Mike did, but I do know he came out for Raphael Warnock. I know he did come out for Stacey Abrams. I know he did come out for
a lot of
John
people.
Ossoff.
Yeah.
So we can't just act like he was a surrogate this whole time for Donald Trump and his politics and his policies. That's unfair.
That's the positioning that I don't like.
Yeah.
Is that.
And so
he's not out here tap dancing.
No. Let's not put him in with those folks.
He really just kind of abstained, and so from that perspective, I can still understand why people would be upset. But
exactly. That's the point.
I get that, but he was just kind of like abstaining, like But he did ride for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like he, and I know somebody's gonna be mad at this, but I know I don't know if when you guys listen to Joe Budden, Mark Lamont Hill is one of and he said out loud, I'm voting for, what's the name? The old person we only find out every 4
Jill
or 5.
Stein?
Jill Stein.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, what?
She gets a bad rap too. The propaganda against her is ridiculously crazy. But anyways.
But, it was like, okay, but it was after, it was like, okay, these are the two people who are running. And you said you're going to vote for Jill Stein.
And Jill Stein voters had no effect on who won the candidacy and who won anything. To Terry's point, this is the thing
who stay home.
To Terry's point, I'm gonna keep saying this until the cows come home or whatever. We're from Indiana, we can talk about cows, but like, it's the establishment's job, the Democratic Party, to put a candidate up there that is electable and that people want to like. And if you are going to completely abstain from the left, that just kind of that what they want, and you're gonna have this corporate, you're going to lose those people.
It still wasn't fair to her though.
Fair to who?
Kamala. Yeah.
You sound like them.
Yeah. Kamala.
What wasn't fair to her though?
Just the way they threw her in there like that.
No, I don't think so either.
No, it wasn't. That's the establishment.
The establishment did this because this establishment was not listening to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And like, all of the blame, in my opinion, needs to start at the establishment. It needs to start there, and it needs to realistically stay there, and the pressure needs to be applied to the people that keep propping up the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I've always thought, well, wait a minute, how is it, after we had 8 years of Barack Obama and during the next election cycle, I'm having to choose between two people who voted for the 94 crime bill. Like, how do we get there? Democratic Party.
And what type of like mental gymnastics are we doing here to try to make
black people like both of those people though?
That's fair.
And what's sad about it is they don't really know the history. They're familiar with these people.
Mm-hmm.
So they voted for familiarity. Essentially, they didn't vote for the policy or what they knew could happen. Like literally, when I talked about what Bernie Sanders was talking about, I was giving them all his running points.
Yeah.
And they were telling me, well, he can't do that. I'm like, how do you know he can't do that? If it sounds good to you, then why wouldn't you get behind that? Well, because I just know he can't do that. How many politicians have ran and do 100% of what they tell you they're going to do anyway?
Mike responded to a couple things too. And, don't get me wrong, Mike said some stuff, even on his last album, he had a couple lines on there that I'm just like,
It wasn't rap music, Mike.
It's like, nah, it's like, that's why you're broke, and things of that nature. And then the comments that he made on Shannon Sharp, he's like, I got my stripper wife. I got all the stuff I need. I'm good. It's just like, okay, Mike, you're kind of on some other shit over here, which kind of goes against the brand that he kind of pushes out there, it's just to some degree, I guess.
Pushed.
Yeah, pushed.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
and I think that's where a lot of people are, where it's like, wait a minute, well, I'm here, I got mine. Why didn't you get yours?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's the worst kind of mentality to have. So
I hate that it happened, that this is happening to Mike too, because like he's had a lot of momentum and a lot of good ideas, a lot of just acknowledging the problems and trying to create solutions for it. And a lot of it is getting lost in, just the few things that he did that people don't agree with does not sum up
exactly
100% of who Killer Mike is. So
it'll pass though.
I don't know, man, because some of the damage, like when certain people rally behind somebody and deem them as poison to the climate and don't listen to this particular person unless they really do something that redeems them in the eyes of them, then people don't listen to them anymore. We've seen that happen with a lot of cultural, political influencers. Like when somebody talks about even Jesse Jackson went through a period of time where nobody cared about what Jesse Jackson thought. Reverend Al Sharpton, nobody cares about what Reverend R. Sharpton thinks about or is trying to aim for because of certain things came up in his past that people wasn't rocking with. So like, I would hate to see this happen with Killer Mike because I feel like he's bigger than what the mistake is that he made. I feel like he can correct this and it shouldn't be deemed as, this big thing that can't be corrected. That's all.
It's just going to be hard for people because when you see 500,000 black women who've lost their jobs, when you see the prices at the gas pump and you see literally Republicans after the Supreme Court ruling going out of stopping elections and redrawing congressional lines, that's hard for people to forgive very quickly.
Exactly.
That's real.
He's gonna have to the lines of dialogue are gonna have to be opened up, and he's going, I don't want to say be gracious. Yeah, you got to be gracious. Like you can't start off with like, well, I've done this. Like, and that's sometimes where Killer Mike is. And that's part.
Come in with a listening ear.
Yeah, and that's part of why so many of us F with him. But at the same time, like sometimes you got to read the room. Now is not the time.
Yeah, I think it depends on how he posits himself in general and how I mean one thing that I think I understand that I'm not the regular pay attentioner because I do
pay attention
because I do pay attention, and so like I can see like. Again, Killer Mike is not like the end all be all in general.
Nah.
Like everybody is a human and everybody makes mistakes. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, all right, because Killer Mike abstained, he's responsible for the Voting Rights Act. It's like, all right,
that's too far.
To me, it's too far. It's like a little bit too liberal for me, and it's just like painting the wrong horse. Like Killer Mike is also very instrumental in the progressivism that is actually moving really strongly in that direction right now. And so like if you look at it from that perspective, a lot of the seeds that he's planted and a lot of the people that he's helped grow politically and think about things in a different type of manner, you could say that in the long run a lot of that stuff is what's actually going to be
legacy.
More, yeah, and it's going to be more impactful than him just abstaining or saying, you know, like you have to, you're not just going to get my vote because you're black. Like, you know, so I think when you look at the, like, because I can look at Killer Mike and be like, I don't like these things about the things that he represents and talks about, but he's still in general, like, I like most of what he does.
Yeah, there's specific things. It's not him as a whole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, I can tell where his heart is because I've been paying attention to him for a very long time. And, you know, and I've seen his resume, and his resume is extremely long, and it's a lot longer than a lot of the people that are criticizing him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and one of the things that winds up making the conversation way more complicated needs to be, especially when you're talking about these establishment Democrats, if you will, is, you know, there's nothing wrong with black people saying, hey, we want something for our vote. And that's part of where Killer Mike has been coming from this entire time. And a lot of times with that establishment, it's like, hey, we got to vote this way or they're going to take this away from us. It's like, well, we can't just vote out of fear.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, that's where a lot of us are, because we know, you know, we can't ever say when someone says, oh, no, we're not going to do that with Project 2025. That's not real. And it's like, come on, man. We knew that was real. At least I did.
Yeah, I did too.
You know, and so, but that's the hard part about being
learned,
being learned, and that just understanding that, like, look, man, if we keep voting out of fear, we're never going to get anything. But like the fact that we don't get anything, that should be the thing that we fear.
Yeah. That's why when I boil this all the way down to the simplest, I keep thinking if we all right, it's going to be 20. When's the next president? 2030? Is that when the next president?
2028.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Shit. Sorry. It's like, damn, this is a long time. We might not make it. We still might not make it, but
it's looking bleak.
But when I think about, like, if we have every single time that we accept this bullshit harm reduction vote, it moves all the progressive momentum aside. Again, I know I'm coming from my perspective here, but I do see a lot of progressive movement right now, which I think is really cool. And I do see a lot more people talking about and calling out stuff. And I feel like Mike had a significant part in that. And
absolutely.
So like, yeah, I would and I would honestly, I would bet money that he actually voted for Kamala Harris.
I bet he did too. Yeah.
So after the primaries are over, yes, you should absolutely vote Democrat. That's just the facts of the matter. You should, because you don't want what's going on in the right wing. And I think sometimes us on the left feel like people are smart enough to just realize that.
And it's not, yeah.
And sometimes we have to realize that, no, we have to, it's not even that people aren't smart enough. It's just that people are apathetic to it.
And you have to continue to be progressive. Like, once you get a victory, you can't become complacent because you won that one. You have to continue to fight. It doesn't stop right there.
Yeah.
The end goal is way farther than that. This is just setting up the building blocks. You have to continue to do it. And I think that people failed to realize that once Barack Obama won the presidency, that wasn't the goal. I mean, that was the goal. That was a win for that point in time, but that wasn't the goal for the, you know what I'm saying, the long game.
Term.
Because the thing is, and I know people have criticisms of Barack Obama, and I certainly do as well. But the thing is, we showed up for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012.
Yeah.
The people who did not like Barack Obama showed up every year in between.
I still rock with Killer Mike, man, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean.
No, and I don't want him to shut the up. I want to hear what Mike has to say, and we got to keep it moving. We can't become this adversarial situation where there are progressives fighting each other.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what he was saying in his video was accurate.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
very much so.
If we
and
take
even the stuff that people were talking about, they have valid points.
Even I think he was valid in I'm not gonna vote for you just because you're black.
I mean,
yeah, that's valid, but again,
it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah, it's the messaging. Yeah. Just kind of like the wrong way to say it. It's like off the cuff type thing.
Yeah.
It's like
Biden wasn't valid when he said, if you ain't
vote for me,
you know what I'm saying?
Not black.
That was dumb as shit.
That was just old man.
He was having a senior moment.
You just have to understand the room.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.